Let's talk to Kagan Carey, Evolving Prisons podcast host. I think we've spoken before, Kagan. Very good morning to you.
Hi, Mike. Great to be here.
Nice to talk to you. So, the prison population, it says here in England and Wales, is going to soar to over 100,000 by 2029. I mean, that sounds like an underestimate to me, because it's already tipping around about 80,000, isn't it? So over the course of the next couple of years, I would have thought, given that the Labour government are creating more and more crimes that people can commit, they're going to be locking up more and more people, even though they say they're locking them up for less time and they're letting them out earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. We are locking up people for longer. I mean, today, 2.5 times as many people are in prison for more than 10 years than back in 2010. And so back then, I mean, there were only 11,000 less people in prison than there are today, back in 2004, sorry, so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas the fact that within 3 years we could have an extra 14,000 people in prison is alarming.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Shabana Mahmood came out this week and said basically they want to put fewer people in prison. They want to have more people doing other kinds of punishment, and they want to create a kind of prison environment outside of prison. I'm not sure how that's going to work, and I'm not sure whether the probation service have been consulted or, you know, the monitoring people have been consulted, because that's going to be thousands more people having to be electronically tagged and presumably watched over.
Yeah, absolutely. They say that they're going to have about 1,000 new trainee probation officers by March, but is that going to be enough? And we can increase the use of suspended sentences or house arrest, but we need to make sure that this society is ready for that, because what are we going to do to help rehabilitate them in the community? We can't just contain them there and then think that they're going to change their lives.
No, exactly. And I mean, how would that work anyway? Because we've got several problems. I mean, all the way down from police making enough arrests. I mean, we've still got the problem of police not solving enough crimes. We've then got the problem of if they do solve a crime and they do arrest somebody, that person then goes before the courts. We were learning this week that if they plead not guilty, they're more than likely to be dumped back to the bottom of the pile, and they could be 2 years away from another court case. And then even then, if they get to be in front of a judge and they get found guilty, the chances of them going to jail are pretty slim, aren't they?
Well, I think so. However, as you say, we're creating more crimes. We are actually sending more people to prison and for longer. So I'm not actually sure if that is true, because there are more people in prison. Our prison population is increasing for a reason.
Right.
So what are we doing with them? And more people are on remand. There's 87% more people on remand than there were 5 years ago.
Right.
And the MOJ themselves have told us that 9 out of 10 women on remand are posing a low risk to society. So we need to look at who are we deciding to in prison and why.
Right.
And it begs the question of what is our prisons for? Because I think that we're actually wondering what they are for just now. Are they for containing people? Are they for retribution? What is the purpose of them and why are we using them?
Yeah, right. And what about the inside of the prisons? Because we hear all the time that the prisons themselves are not particularly well run. You know, the guards have not got enough powers. The inmates pretty much do what they want. I mean, is it true that that there's not enough sort of sharing of cells going on, that if they shared more cells that would take care of more people?
I don't think so. I don't ever think trying to cram more people into one cell is a good idea, because tensions rise. There's then more arguments and tension and violence that occurs. So I don't think we should be sharing cells at all. But yeah, absolutely. There's not enough staff in the prisons. The workshops are empty in a lot of prisons. Violence is increasing. Staff are struggling to be able to do the rehabilitative work that's expected of them. And in a lot of prisons, they are just warehousing them, doing what they can.
Yeah, right. And there's talk of building a lot more houses and doing away with the planning, problems that sometimes is held up by. But Angela Rayner's now given the go-ahead for a super prison, which is going to be apparently built somewhere in central Lancashire, that will house 1,700 inmates. Trouble is, presumably that will cost an awful lot of money, and it will take forever to build it.
Yeah, well, they're saying that it's going to be about £4 billion over their budget. And the thought of a supermax prison really scares me, because we just need to look at America and see the amount of violence that breeds. And she says that this prison is supposed to be a resettlement category C prison in the Northwest, but we just need to look at the chief inspectors of prisons reports recently, where category C prisons, some of them are not preparing people for release. Again, the workshops are empty and they're only housing a few hundred prisoners. So how on earth can we expect a 1,700 supermax prison to actually be able to help people transform their lives? And not to mention, where are we going to get the staff? We don't have enough staff as it is. I never understand how this can work.
Yeah, it's a strange problem, and one that nobody seems to be able to solve, like an awful lot of the problems in this country. But appreciate your time. Kagan Carey there from the Evolving Prisons podcast. You can catch that where all podcasts can be found. But who knows about this Central Lancashire prison, this super prison, which apparently Angela Rayner has given the go-ahead for. A source close to Shabama Mahmood, according to the Telegraph, says, on the day the last government was lambasted for their planning failures, this new government has shown that we will do what it takes to get prisons built. Well, they say that, but they say that they can't even build the houses they want to build because of NIMBYs. Where are they going to build these new prisons? What can you tell me about it? There's something called the Ulnes Walton Jail, which apparently is going to be the third prison built in an area of central Lancashire, close to HMP Garth and HMP Why Not. I know that so many of you out there know about the prison system. Many of you work in it. So do let us know what's going on with this super prison. Give us some word from the inside. Somewhere in the Green Belt, they're going to build a 1,700 people prison. Is that what you're hearing?